Yes. So your answer is correct. Everyone, very good answer. So can I say the identification of the person is not important? Very good. So what India 37 says, all obligation which involve other party, of course it will involve other party, it is not essential to know the identity of other party for recognition of provision. Means even though we don't know to whom we need to pay, then also we should recognize provision. Understood? Yes, sir. Correct? Very good. This point, any doubt? No doubt. Correct. Then third point, which is very important. This is very important. Very important. Legal obligation means, can I say obligations are of two type, legal obligation and constructive obligation. So what India's 37 says about legal obligation, legal obligation arises only when legislation are enacted or it is virtually certain that it will be enacted. It is virtually certain that it will be enacted. A new term in your life, virtually certain. Correct? Virtually certain means when the chances are more than 95%, then we call it virtually certain. Correct now. So when we say it is certain, certain means 100%. When we say virtually certain, it means the chances are more than 95%. When we say it is probable, means chances are more than 50%. When we say it is not probable, means chances are less than 50%. I hope you are understanding. So what they say, legal obligation arises only when legislation means any act are enacted. When an act is enacted, I think you all know that act will be enacted when the bill will pass in both the houses and it is signed by the President of India and then it is notified in the official Gazette of India. Correct now? Then it will be enacted. Understood? So act is enacted or it is virtually enacted, virtually certain that it will be enacted by the end of reporting date. Correct now? It is virtually certain that it will be enacted. Understood this point? So virtually certain means what? Can I say in India, if the bill has been passed in both the houses, then president signing is only a formality in India. So even though it is not signed by the president, can I say it is virtually certain that it will be enacted? So if it is virtually certain, virtual certainty is there on reporting that, then also we recognize provision for the legal obligation. Means if I want to explain you, everyone, just try to understand. Example, example, correct. Suppose this is 31st March 2020, 31st March 2020, correct. Now, everyone. Now suppose I'm just giving one case. Suppose ki you are doing one business and you have one factory and due to that factory you are polluting the environment. Correct? Understood? And there is one act for cleaning up the environment if you are polluting the environment while doing the business. Correct now? So there may be four different cases in this. First case, act is already enacted. Act is already enacted on 31st March, on or before 31st March for cleaning up the environment. So of course, then we should recognize provision. We should recognize provision. So act is enacted on 31st March, already enacted. So of course there is a legal obligation. There is no question here. Provision should be recognized. Case 1 you have understood. Case 2, correct? there is a there is a virtual certainty, correct now? Virtual certainty on 31st March that act will be enacted. Act will be enacted. So virtual certainty on which date? On 31st March. Means even though it might not be notified in the official Gazette of India, but the bill has been passed in both the houses. So can you see there is a virtual certainty? Now it is a known fact that act will be enacted. So in this case also, even though act is not enacted on 31st March, but there is a virtual certainty on 31st March, the act is going to be enacted, then also we will recognize provision. Recognize provision. Very important point. I am expecting a question on this. Understood this point? Yes, sir. Point number three. Point number three. Act is not enacted. Act is not enacted. And there is no virtual certainty on reporting that act will be enacted. Are you getting? So act is neither enacted nor there is any virtual certainty that act will be enacted. Then can I say provision will not be recognized? Will not be recognized. Then provision will not be recognized. Understood? Everyone. Case number 1, 2, 3. Any doubt? If you have understood this, please type yes so that I can understand you have understood this point. And if you have not understood, I will repeat once again. Because if you have understood, I'll give one more case. For that, you need to give the answer. Case number 1, 2, 3. You have understood? Everyone. So what is the case number 1? Act is already enacted. Provision should be recognized. Case number 2, act is not enacted, but there is a virtual certainty that act will be enacted. There is a virtual certainty on 31st March that act will be enacted. Then also there is a legal obligation recognized provision. Correct? Third, act is not enacted and there is no virtual certainty that act will be enacted. Then we will not recognize provision. Have you understood this much? Yes, sir. Now, point number 4. You need to answer point number 4. Everyone. Means this point number 4 is with point number 3. Correct? Means point number 3 plus when I am saying point number 3 means act is not enacted and there is no virtual certainty on 31st March that act will be enacted. Of course, provision will not be recognized. But can I say there is a published policies of the company for cleaning for cleaning up the environment. My question to you all in this case whether in this case provision will be recognized. Means there is no act and there is no virtual certainty on 31st March that act will be enacted, but company has a published policy of for cleaning up the environment when they have if they have created any pollution. So in this case, can I say due to this there is a constructive obligation And if there is a constructive obligation, can I say provision should be recognized? So can I say this will give rise to what? Constructive obligation. Constructive obligation. Constructive obligation. Now you know what is the meaning of constructive obligation. Constructive obligation will be due to entity's own action, either due to past practice or published policy or any statement or any specific statement which created a valid expectation on the part of other party. Understood? Means whenever you are saying constructive obligation in exam for getting full marks, you should also define what is the meaning of constructive obligation. Correct? If you write only if there is a constructive obligation, they will not give full marks. I have said that you will get marks only when your answer is best. Understood? Yes, sir. Correct. So can I say point number 3? With point number 3, if there is a constructive obligation, then provision should be recognized. I think you have understood. Correct. Can you please repeat it again? Once again, I will repeat. So what I said, everyone listen. What I said, कि on 31st March 2020, on 31st March 20 means there was one company which is polluting the environment. So for cleaning up the environment, there might be some act. So we are now discussing about legal obligation. So what Ind AS 37 says, legal obligation arises when the legislation are enacted, or it is virtually certain that it will be enacted. So it is virtually certain on which date? On reporting date. On a reporting date. Understood this point? Yes, sir. So I have just given one example. Ki suppose case number 1, act is already enacted on 31st March. Then there is no question, provision should be recognized. Now, Act is not enacted on 31st March, but on 31st March, there is a virtual certainty that Act will be enacted. Then also there is an legal obligation and we should recognize provision. This point number 1 and point number 2 you understood? Yes, sir. Point number 3 means case number 3, Act is not enacted and there is no virtual certainty on 31st March that Act will be enacted. Means bill has been passed. Bill has been passed in one house, but it is still pending in another house. Understood this point? Yes, sir. Then provision will not be recognized. But in case number 4, what I have said, ki with point number 3, if I added one point, ki there is a published policy of the company for cleaning up the environment, so it will give rise to constructive obligation. And if there is a constructive obligation, provision should be recognized. If there is a constructive obligation, provision should be recognized. Now, I think you have understood. I hope you have understood what? All these 3 points. Have you understood? So with this, we understand when we should create provision. So what is the meaning of provision? Provisions are what? Provisions are liability. Provisions are liability of uncertain amount or timing. What is the meaning of liability? Liability means present obligation arising from past event which will be settled through outflow of resources. What is the meaning of present obligation? A past event is deemed to give rise to present obligation if it is probable. Probable means what? More likely than not. What is the meaning of this? It means chances of occurrence is more than chances of non-occurrence. Correct. Can you say all past event will not give rise to obligation? Means those past event which give rise to obligation on reporting date is known as what? Obligating event. There are two type of obligation: legal obligation and constructive obligation. Legal obligation arises due to contract, due to legislation, or any other obligation of law. Constructive obligation is derived from entity's own action. It may be due to past practice or published policy or any specific statement or announcement which indicate that entity will accept the responsibility and which will create valid expectation on the part of other party. Means there are 3 conditions for recognition of provision. First condition, there must be present obligation arising from past event. Outflow of resource which is required to settle the obligation is also probable and reliable estimation can be made for the amount of timing. Correct? Here you can write down one note. Write down. From examination point of view, from examination point of view, third condition will be always assumed, always assumed to be satisfied if question is silent. So if the question has not given any amount of estimation, always assume that third condition is satisfied and we recognize the provision from examination point of view. Correct? Yes, sir. Then point number D, what we have done, only those obligations which exist independently from entities' future conduct of business should be recognized. This point also you have understood. Then next point is what, all obligation involve other party but identification of that party is not required for recognition of provision. The last point what we have done, legal obligation arises only when legislation are enacted or or it is virtually certain that it will be enacted. Understood? Yes, sir. Correct. Now coming to the contingent liability. So we have done the meaning of provision. Now we are coming to the contingent liability. But before coming to contingent liability, let me explain you some point. Everyone, concentrate. Now, can I say we have understood that this chapter is applicable when there is some obligation on which date? On reporting date. Reporting date. There is some obligation on reporting date. Correct? Understood? Arising from past event. Arising from past event. So this chapter is applicable when there is some obligation on reporting date arising from past event. Correct? Now, these obligations are of three types. First one is known as present obligation. Now we understood present obligation. Present obligation means what? Present obligation means more likely than not. I'm writing MLTN, more likely than not. Chalega? More likely than not means what? Chances are more than 50%. Chances are more than 50%. Second obligation is known as possible obligation. Possible obligation means what? It is not more likely than not. It is not more likely than not means chances of occurrence is less than chances of non-occurrence. Understood this point? Correct. And third one is known as remote obligation. Remote obligation means chances are very less. Chances are very less. Remote obligation. So remote obligation from percentage point of view, we say if it is less than 5%, so we call it what? A remote obligation. Means this 50%, more than 50%, less than 50%, less than 5% is a judgmental factor. Means management will decide whether it is more than 50%, less than 50% of, or more than 5% or less than 5%. Correct now? Understood? Correct. But we have created one benchmark that if it is less than 50 and less than 5%, we will call it remote obligation. Very less chances. Correct. So can I say possible obligation? Can I say in this way? It is less than 50%, but more than 5%. More than 5%. Understood this point? Yes, sir. So Ind AS 37 says obligations are of three types: present obligation, possible obligation, and remote obligation. Which obligation? It can be either legal obligation or constructive obligation. Or constructive obligation. Understood this point? Correct. Now, my question to you all: if there is a present obligation arising from past event, everyone, if there is a present obligation arising from past event, should we recognize provision or we should not recognize provision? Everyone respond. Are you getting what I am saying? If there is a present obligation arising from past event, if there is a present obligation arising from past event, should we recognize provision or we should not recognize provision? Everyone. Very good. So one answer I got. Sir, we should recognize provision, but we should also check other conditions. Means there are two more conditions. Very good. So can I say, even though there is a present obligation arising from past event, but can I say for recognition of provision, there are two more conditions. So what are the two more conditions? बताओ. Can I say outflow of resource, outflow of resource is probable and reliable estimation can be made. Correct? Means, can I see if the outflow of resources is probable and reliable estimation can be made. Are you getting what I am saying? So if there is a present obligation and other two conditions are satisfied, then we recognize provision. Then recognize provision. Understood this point? I hope no discussion required. But can I say in this way? If the outflow of resource is not probable, not probable, or or reliable estimation cannot be made. Understood? Then in this case, if either of these condition is not satisfied or both the conditions are not satisfied, either means or and, I can write down this way, means there is a present obligation arising from past event, but either outflow of resource is not probable or reliable estimation cannot be made, or both. Correct? Then what Ind AS 37 says, then disclose it as contingent liability. Then disclose it as contingent liability. Understood? Means even though there is a present obligation, then also it might happen that we are not recognizing provision, but we should disclose the fact as contingent liabilities. Understood? Correct? And if there is a possible obligation arising from past event. What is the meaning of possible obligation? Means chances of occurrence is less than chances of non-occurrence. Means the chances are less than 50%, or we can say more than 5%. Correct? Then also we will disclose it as contingent liability. If there is a possible obligation, if there is a possible obligation, correct? And if there is a remote obligation, then what Ind AS 37 says, the chances are very less. Now due to materiality concept, we can ignore it. Means no accounting treatment is required. No treatment is required due to which concept? Due to materiality. Understood? Yes, sir. Correct. Means, can I say in this way, कि contingent liabilities are present obligation arising from past event? Everyone, listen. Contingent liabilities are present obligation arising from past event, which is not recognized because either outflow of resource is not probable or reliable estimation cannot be made, or it is a possible obligation arising from past event, or it is a possible obligation arising from past event. Understood this point? Correct. Now it is a possible obligation whether estimation can be made or cannot be made. The disclosure need to be given. Means, even though estimation cannot be made, the fact of contingent liability should be disclosed. Correct. Now, so write down whether estimation can be made, whether estimation can be made or not. Have you understood? Means, for contingent liability, even the amount cannot be measured, then also fact need to disclose. But for provision, if the amount cannot be measured, then how can you recognize the provision? Then in that case, if the amount cannot be measured, disclose it as what? Contingent liability. Understood this point? Have you understood? Now we'll come to the definition. What definition says? Come. Contingent liability. What they say. Now you will understand what they have said. Contingent liabilities are present obligation from past event. Contingent liabilities are present obligation arising from past event which cannot be recognized because either outflow of resource which is required to settle the obligation is not probable or reliable estimation cannot be made. Understood? Or contingent liabilities are possible obligation arising from past event. Arising from past event means all possible obligations arising from past event will be disclosed as contingent liability. The existence of which will be confirmed means, for that the existence will be confirmed only by occurrence or non-occurrence of uncertain future event which is not within the control, which is not wholly within the control of entity. Correct? So can you write down this definition exam if asked? So can you repeat with me? Everyone. Contingent liabilities are present obligation. There is no need to do any rectification. If you have understood, you can frame the definition in your own words. So contingent liabilities are present obligation arising from past event which is not recognized because either outflow of resource to settle the obligation is not probable or reliable estimation cannot be made, or it is possible obligation arising from past event. Correct? The existence of which will be confirmed by occurrence or non-occurrence of uncertain future event which is not wholly within the control of entity. Understood? Yes, sir. Keyword is what? This present obligation and possible obligation. You can't write down obligation in exam. You need to mention present obligation and possible obligation. So the keyword is very important. Then you can frame the definition in your own words. Understood? Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. Correct. Now, recognition. Of course, we all know that we should not recognize contingent liability. So, not recognize but require disclosure in the financial statement unless the outflow of resource is removed. So, there is one checkpoint. If the outflow of resource is removed, then will not disclose it as contingent liability. Means there is a possible obligation, but outflow of resource is removed. Then will also what? Not disclose it as contingent liability. Understood? Unless the outflow of resource is removed. What disclosure need to be given? The disclosure, what nature of the event? We should disclose the nature of the event and the effect on the financial statement and the effect of such uh, contingent liability on financial statement need to disclose. If the effect is not determinable, means not measurable, the fact must be disclosed. Means even the amount cannot be estimated. The fact need to be disclosed that we are not able to estimate the amount. Understood? Yes, sir. So I hope contingent liability also you have understood. So you have understood provision, you have understood contingent liability. So can I ask one question now? Means the question which was pending. My question to you all, whether contingent liability is a liability. Now you can answer. Now I know that you will give me correct answer. Whether contingent liabilities are liability. Abrim, take your time, but I want to answer correct answer from you all. Whether contingent liabilities are liabilities? No, sir. Very good. So can you say contingent liabilities are not liability because it does not meet the definition of what? Liability. Liabilities are present obligation arising from past event for which outflow of resource must be probable. Correct now. So in this case, there is a present obligation, but outflow of resource is not probable. Understood? So can I say contingent liability is not a liability? Is not a liability. Therefore, it is outside the balance sheet. If it is a liability, though, it should be inside the balance sheet. Na? Yes, sir. Correct. So what is contingent asset? Now you can easily understand what is contingent asset. Contingent asset are possible asset. Possible asset. Just reverse definition of contingent liability. But in case of asset, there is no present asset. They have not used the term present asset. They have used the word only possible asset. So what they say, contingent asset of possible asset means possible inflow. Possible asset means possible inflow arising from past event, the existence of which will be confirmed only by the occurrence or non-occurrence of uncertain future event which is not wholly within the control of entity. Definition is very simple. Contingent asset are possible asset, not asset. They are possible asset. Understood? The contingent asset are possible asset arising from past event. Arising from past event. Correct? Understood? Should we recognize contingent asset? So for recognition and disclosure, let me explain you. There is some difference between AS 29 and Ind AS 37. What is the difference that we need to understand? What they say, if the inflows are virtually certain, oh my god, if the inflows are virtually certain means chances are more than 95%. If it is virtually certain, so what they say, then it is not a contingent asset, it shall be recognized as an asset. Understood? If it is virtually certain, not certain, if it is certain, then it is an asset. But if it is virtually certain, then also it is an asset, it is not a contingent asset. If it is an asset, recognize it. I'll give you a very simple example. Virtually certain means what? For example, if you have done credit sales. My question to you all, whether the inflow is certain or not certain. If you have done credit sale, so when I am saying certain, it is 100%. Huh? So my question to you all, if you have done credit sale, the inflows are certain or it is not certain. Means it is uncertain. Are you getting what I am saying? I hope you have understood. I've used the word certain and uncertain. So when you have done credit sales, the inflows are certain or uncertain. If you are saying certain, then so we should never create provision for doubtful debt. Correct now? Are you getting? So can I say when we have done credit sales, even to non-party, we don't know what will happen in future. So it is not certain. I will not say it is uncertain. It is not certain. But can I say it is also not uncertain? Have you understood? Because when we do credit sales, the credit sales is only done to known party. So I can't say it is certain. It is not certain, but it is also not uncertain. Means chances of inflow may not be 100%, but it is more than 95%. So credit sales, in case of credit sales, inflow are inflows are virtually certain. Understood what I am saying? Virtually certain, and therefore we recognize as asset, means debtor. We recognize such inflow as receivable. Understood what I am saying? मेरी बात समझे? I am just given a very simple example. Very simple example. If it is virtually certain, then recognize. Understood? Let me give one more example. Suppose you have taken one insurance policy for building in case of fire. Means you have done fire policy in accounting when you have done CA inter. So you have taken a fire policy for building, correct? And fire occurred. So of course, because you have taken a fire policy and fire occurred, some claim is receivable from insurance company or not. Claim is receivable or not? It is receivable. But can you say once fire occurred, it does not mean there is virtual certainty that claim will be received. So at that time, we will not recognize any claim receivable as an asset in our books of account. Can I say once the survey is done by the insurance company and they have given a survey certificate, yes, everything is okay. Then once the claim is what accepted by insurance company, then it becomes virtually certain that claim will be received, and then we can recognize claim receivable as an asset. Are you getting? So when it is virtually certain, then it shall be recognized as an asset. So it is not a contingent asset. Correct? Understood? This point understood? If inflows are probable means chances are more than 50%. But now chances are more than 50%, so it is less than 95%. Understood? Understood? Correct. Then it is not an asset. No asset is recognized. It will be considered as contingent asset. Contingent asset. Understood? So if inflows are probable, it is contingent asset, and contingent asset will not be recognized. It will be disclosed. It will be disclosed where? In financial statement. Disclose it in financial statement. Oh my God. In AS 29, AS 29 says कि contingent asset will be disclosed where? Not in financial statement. They said it will be disclosed in the report of approving authority. Disclose contingent asset in the report of approving authority means director report. And director's report is not a part of financial statement. Director's report is not a part of financial statement. When I say financial statement, what will come in financial statement? In financial statement, balance sheet, SOPL, SOC. What is SOC? Do you know about SOC? Statement of changes in equity. I don't know whether you are drawing, whether you are drafting statement of changes in equity in your office or not. But SOC means statement of changes in equity. The balance sheet, statement of profit and loss, statement of changes in equity, statement of cash flow, and notes to account. And notes to account. So when I am saying disclose it in financial statement, so of course will not disclose in balance sheet, will not disclose in SOPL, will not disclose in statement of changes in equity, will not disclose statement of cash flow. It is understood all disclosure are given in one place, that is notes to account. Correct? But the actors report is not a part of our financial statement. AS 29 used to say कि it will be disclosed in the report of approving authority. I don't understand why any AS is required for director's report. In director's report, because it is not a part of financial statement, जो लिखना है लिखो वहां पर. We can write anything in director's report, but financial statement are prepared as per AS or Ind AS. So what Ind AS 37 says, it should be disclosed in notes to account. Understood? Yes, sir. So this is a difference. This is a difference, correct? as compared to AS 29. And if it is not probable, not probable means you can see when I'm saying not probable, it is less than 50%. Means it will also include remote probability also. Are you getting what I'm saying? So no treatment is required. Means can I say with this, we can say that Ind AS 37 is more strict for inflows because of conservatism. Because of conservatism. To give a summary, to give a summary, if there is an outflow and inflow, the outflow will give rise to liability, inflow will give rise to asset. Correct now. If it is 100% certain, if outflow is 100% certain, so this is a liability, this is an asset. And inflow is 100% certain, so it is an asset, no doubt. If it is more than 95% but less than 100%, means it is virtual certainty. Virtual certainty. Correct. So if it is virtual certainty, so for outflow, you can see Ind AS 37 has not used the term virtual certainty because they said if the outflow are probable, then also provision is required, and provision is but liability. So can I say provision is required? When I am saying provision, provision is nothing but liability. I can write down liability also. Correct. So if it is virtual certainty, if there is a virtual certainty, then also provision is required. Correct. In this case, if it is virtual certainty, then asset will be recognized. It is an asset. Correct. Then if it is more than 50% but less than 95%, so can I say we call it is probable. Probable. So if the outflow is probable, then provision is required. Means a liability is required. A liability is required. But in case of inflow, if outflow is probable, then asset is not recognized. Then it will be a contingent asset. Then it will be a contingent asset. I hope you are understanding. Correct. Then if it is less than 50% and more than 5%, then we call it not probable. It is not probable. If it is not probable, then in case of outflow, it is a contingent liability. In case of inflow, can you say no treatment is required? No treatment. It will not be recognized. It will not be disclosed also. Correct? Yes, sir. And if it is less than 5%, then we call it what? Remote probability. Remote probability. Then in both cases, no treatment, no treatment. Understood. So we have done the meaning part. We have understood provision, we have understood contingent asset, we have understood contingent liability. All three we now know, and their disclosure requirement also we have understood. Any doubt till now? Now you can understand I am taking time to explain you each and every terms. Correct now? Means I am not in hurry. So you can understand when we'll do some chapters which you have never done in what? See enter what type of explanation I will give. Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. Any doubt till now? Have you understood? Please respond, everyone. Yes, sir. Now we'll come to the second topic. Means we have done the meaning part. Now we are coming to the measurement part. So now we'll discuss the measurement of provision and contingent liability. Measurement. So of course, can I say provision need to be measured? Contingent liability, if measurement is possible, then we'll do measurement. Otherwise, if the measurement is not possible, then also we'll disclose it as contingent liability. But can I say measurement is required both for provision and contingent liability? Yes, sir. So, sir, how will do measurement? Correct. Means provisions should be recognized, but at what amount? How to measure that amount? That also we should understand. So what Ind AS 37 says, ki the measurement should be the best estimate, best estimate of the expenditure which is required to settle the obligation at the end of reporting date. At the end of reporting date. Best estimate of the expenditure required to settle the obligation at the end of reporting date. Understood? So what is the best estimate? We'll discuss. But it should be best estimate as per the information available on reporting date. So when I say best estimate, it should be based on information available on reporting date. Whenever I write down R date, it means reporting date. Chalega? Yes, sir. Correct. To settle the obligation at the end of reporting date. Let me take one example. I just want one quick answer from you. Let me understand whether you can give me correct answer or not. You need to apply your common sense. Just try to understand. Suppose this is 31st March and there is some contingency existing on this date. Correct? Whenever the contingency is there, we'll apply Ind AS 37 if it will result in outflow of resource and all the three conditions satisfied. Satisfied. So of course we will recognize provision. We recognize provision. Understood? Now what will be the amount? It should be the best amount of the expenditure which is required to settle the obligation at the end of reporting date. Means to settle the obligation at the end of reporting date. This is reporting date. Correct? Now for provision we need to measure amount and timing. Suppose the amount of outflow is 10 lakh and timing means it is payable after 3 years from reporting date. So it is payable on suppose this is 31st March 2020. So this is 21, this is 22, this is 23. So it is payable on, write down, 31st March 2023. Have you understood? Now, how you have estimated, how you have measured this, that question you don't ask. Now, this 10 lakh is a best amount and the timing is also best estimation. My question to you all, on this date, what should be the amount of provision? What should be the amount of provision? Everyone. Have you understood the question? On 31st March 2020, there is some contingencies and all the three conditions satisfied. Therefore, we should recognize provision. Now we are doing measurement. So we have measured the amount to be 10 lakh and the timing on 31st March 2023 it is payable. So what amount should we recognize on 31st March 2020? Correct? Means on 31st March 2020 will pass one journal entry profit and loss account debit to provision. By what amount? Understood? Have you understood the question? So whether it should be 10 lakh or more than 10 lakh or less than 10 lakh. So can I say, if you see the definition, what they have said, key it is the amount of expenditure required to settle the obligation at the end of reporting date. So if this amount is settled on the reporting date, so of course KNC will not pay 10 lakh, will pay the present value of 10 lakh. Will pay the present value of 10 lakh. Means this 10 lakh will not be recognized. This 10 lakh amount will not be considered. Will recognize at present value of what? 10 lakh. Now, how to calculate present value, you are expert. I'm not here to explain you how to calculate present value given the discounting factor. If discounting factor is given, you can calculate present value. But the amount should be the present value of what? Outflow. Understood? Correct. So when we are saying at the end of reporting date, at the end of reporting date, it means it means it should be discounted amount. Discounted amount. Have you understood? Now, AS29 was silent regarding this. AS29 says at what? Undiscounted amount. Means AS we used to consider what? We used to consider undiscounted amount, but under Ind AS now it will be discounted amount. Means when you will come to CA final, accounting will not remain accounting, accounting will become discounting. Means every amount will be now discounting at fair value. So when I am saying discounted amount, it means it is nothing but fair value. Fair value ऑन रिपोर्टिंग डेट फेयर वैल्यू कि अगर आज पेमेंट करते तो कितना पेमेंट करते करेक्ट ना बिकॉज वी आर प्रिपेयरिंग बैलेंस शीट एज ऑन दिस डेट एज ऑन रिपोर्टिंग डेट तो हाउ मच अमाउंट इज रिक्वायर्ड to settle the obligation on this date that should be accounted. We should not recognize the future amount to be payable if the balance sheet is prepared on 31st March 2020. So if the amount is settled as on this date, how much amount should be paid? How much amount should be paid? Understood? Yes, sir. Sir, how will do the estimation? You said best estimate. So what is the best estimation? Already I said best estimation means per the as per the evidence available on the reporting date. Correct? So what is they say? Estimates are determined by management judgment. Means it is totally based on judgment of management. Means we should rely on management judgment. Correct? Means whatever management is saying that we need to rely. But can I say that judgment need to be supported by that judgment need to be means whatever judgment is given by management that should be supported by experience of past transaction. Experience of past transaction means if the similar transaction has been done past, so how much amount you have paid. Correct? Now it should be based on experience of past transaction. If such past transaction is not available, then we should rely means that should be supported by report of an expert. Now expert can be either internal expert or external expert. Understood now? For example, if the case is pending, so lawyer become an expert. We should depend upon the evidence given by the lawyer. Yes, sir. Correct now. So report of an expert. If that is also not available, then any additional evidence provided, any additional evidence provided by event occurring after reporting date. Event occurring after reporting date. I think once I said event occurring after reporting date in your mind, AS4 is reflected. AS4. So for third point, we need to go to Ind AS 10. Correct now. So there may be some additional evidence provided by event after reporting date, but before approval of account. Correct now. Means we need to go to Ind AS 10 for that. Correct. So of course the third point will be discussed under Ind AS 10. So can I say best estimate depends upon management judgment. But management judgment should be supported by experience of past transaction, report of an expert, or any additional evidence provided by event occurring after reporting date. Correct? Means I have given one example that I have done one announcement in my class that any student who score 90 or 90 plus marks, I will give a refund of what? 50% of fees. Now, as per my past batches, normally I found that 5% of students score 95 90% marks, more than 90% marks. 5% student. Correct now. So as per my past transaction, can I say I can give my judgment in this batch if there is what 200 students, so out of 200, 5% may score means 10 students. So for 10 students, we'll create a obligation. Understood? So it should be based on what? It should be based on experience of past transaction. Understood? Yes, sir. We have understood. How to measure? This is very important. Very important. How to measure? So what India 37 says, when obligation involves large population means in my case when I have announced one statement that any student who score 90 or 90 plus marks, so can you say there is not one single student, there are large population. In that case what we'll do, in that case what they say, determine expected value of obligation. Expected value of obligation, that is weighted average of all possible outcome. Weighted average of all possible outcome. So whenever obligation involve large population, will determine expected value of obligation, that is weighted average of all possible obligation. Today I am not taking any question from question bank because you have no question bank material with you. So we'll discuss some question from institute material, institute question also we'll discuss, but not today. We'll do on some other day. We'll take some question from question bank. Don't worry. But I hope whatever example I am saying, you are able to understand. So when obligation involve large population, will determine expected value of obligation. So what is the meaning of expected value of obligation? That is weighted average of all possible outcome. Sir, what is this? We have not understood. Give me some time. Correct. What the next point? When there is a single obligation. Single obligation. So what they say, then in that case there is no need to calculate weighted average of all possible outcome. Provision is created based on most likely outcome. Most likely outcome. Let me take two examples. Let me take two examples. Example number one. Suppose this is 31st March 2020. Correct. Now during the year, you have sold 1 lakh units to various customers. Correct. With a warranty, with a warranty of 3 years, and warranty was given ki if the units are damaged, if the part are damaged, so that will be replaced if that damage has been done within 3 years of sale. Understood? Warranty of 3 years has been given. Understood? Correct. Now as per past experience, of course, because this is a going concern, so of course in the last year also they have done what many uh, this type of transaction. Correct. So as per past experience, what management judgment is that ki 10% of customer 10% of customer will have major defect. Correct. 40% of customer will have minor defect, and 50% of customer no defect. This is as per past experience. And for major defect, there can be an outflow of rupees 1000. For minor defect, there can be an outflow of rupees 400. And if there is no defect, there is no outflow. Correct? So can I say this obligation involves not a single obligation. This will involve large population because there are many customers. Now can I say we cannot create provision on one-to-one basis. If the goods are sold by Ram, whether he will able warranty or not. Whether are you getting what I am saying? Whether he'll come for replacement or not. That is not possible. It means it involves large population, so will create expected value of obligation, that is weighted average of all possible outcome as per what? As per past experience or as per report of an expert. So in this case, can I say expected value of obligation. Expected value of obligation will be what? Correct. So out of 1 lakh, 10% have major defect. So it means 10,000 has major defect of rupees and we need to pay 1,000 for that. Correct. Then out of 1 lakh, 40% means plus 40,000 has minor defect and outflow will be 400, and 50% means 50,000 has no defect means outflow will be 0. So what will be the expected value? This will be 10,000 into 1,000. So this is 100 lakh. 100 lakh. Correct now? Yes, sir. This is 40,000 into 400. This is how much? 160 lakh. And this is 0. Am I doing correct? Correct. So this become 260 lakh. 260 lakh. Therefore, a provision should be recognized with an amount of 260 lakh. Correct? And of course, can I say because the amount is what? This one is a 3-year time. So of course it should be discounted. And we'll calculate a discounted amount of this. Discounted amount will depend upon the discounting factor. Okay. In my question, I have not given discounting factor. So of course, if discounting factor is given, you can easily discount it. So you need to calculate present value of what expected value of obligation. Understood this point? Correct. I think this example you understood. So when obligation involves large population, when obligation involve large population, determine the expected value of obligation. What is the meaning of expected value of obligation? That is weighted average of all possible outcome. Sir, when there is a single obligation, then what we do? Let me take one example for this. Yes, sir. Example. On 31st March, suppose one case is pending in High Court against the company. So, single case, one case is pending. Correct now. So, there is a single obligation. Correct. Now, as per the evidence given by lawyer, correct, what they say? Just try to understand what I am saying. What they say? Ki there is a 70% chances that we need to pay high damages of rupees 20 lakh. There is a 20% chances that we need to pay low damages of rupees 4 lakh. And there is a 10% chances that there will be no damages to be paid. Understood? So you can see there is only one single case and the most likely outcome is this. So whenever there is one single population, so we'll take provision as most likely amount. Therefore, the amount of provision will be 20 lakh. And of course, if the discounting is required when the time value of money is material. Correct now. Means if it is payable after 1 year, so we call it what time value of money is material. So can I say, of course, we'll do present value for this. Understood? Most likely amount you understood? Most likely amount? Yes, sir. We have understood most likely amount. Have you understood this point? Bol. Any doubt about these two example? How to measure you understood? How to measure? Everyone respond. Yes, sir. Now, there's some important point for measurement. Provision should be measured before tax. Of course, provision is charged in profit and loss. Provision is charged to profit and loss account before tax only. So provisions should not be net of tax. Provisions should be always what? Measured before tax. Correct? I think a clarification has been given by India's 37. This clarification was actually not required. ठीक है. Now, amount of provision shall be present value of expenditure if the effect of time value of money is material. If the effect of time value of money is material. So, what is the meaning of the effect of time value of money is material? That is not defined in India's 37. But can I say in this way? If the amount is payable after 1 year from a reporting date, then we say that time value of money is material. Then it will be material. The effect of time value of money is material. But if it is payable one year, within 1 year from reporting date, then we say that the time value of money is not material. Then no discounting is required. Are you getting what I am saying? So if time value is not material, the effect of time value is not material, then we recognize that undiscounted amount. But the effect of time value is material, then we'll consider what? Then we'll consider discounted amount. Understood this point? These all are very important from examination point of view. Correct? Understood. So in this case, undiscounted amount, undiscounted amount. In this case, discounted amount. From examination point of view, so if the discounting factor is given, always will assume that the time value of money is material. Correct now? Understood? Yes, sir. So amount of provision shall be present value of expenditure if the effect of time value of money is material. Understood? Yes, sir. Discount rate should be pre-tax. Of course, the discount rate should be pre-tax. I think only a clarification has been given. Why? Because provision is charged before tax. Yes, sir. Any gain from expected sale of assets shall not be taken into account for measurement of provision. Correct now. For measurement of provision, any expected gain on sale of asset that should not be considered. Means gain will be separate. Means inflow will be separate and outflow will be separate. For each outflow, a provision is required. We'll never do net accounting. Understood? So any expected gain on sale of assets shall not be considered for measurement of provision. For measurement of provision. Understood? Any doubt? Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. Now, for measurement, last point, risk and uncertainties. Risk and uncertainties. Can I say, everyone just try to understand, expected value of obligation means whatever amount we have calculated that is based on the information available on balance sheet date. Information available on balance sheet date. But can I say, there is always a chances that our actual payment can be more than the expected payment because of risk and uncertainty associated with future event. Are you getting? Because right now we are deciding the expected value of obligation based on the available evidence on the balance sheet. But the chances, the circumstances may change. The circumstances may change. So there is some risk and uncertainties associated with the amount of obligation. So what India 37 says that risk and uncertainties that surround many events and circumstances shall be taken into account in reaching the best estimate of provision. Means when we calculated expected outflow based on past transaction. For example, just try to understand In this example, when I have taken key for major defect, the amount is 1000, that is based on past transaction. But can I say when the actual replacement is done, the actual amount can be more than 1000 due to risks and uncertainties associated with that event. Correct? Understood. So that should be also considered for taking for determining the best estimate of provision. So can I say what Ind AS 37 says? Ki for the risk and uncertainties associated with a particular event, a risk adjustment is required. So a risk adjustment should be made for the amount that the entity would pay. A risk adjustment should be made for the amount that the entity would pay in excess of expected present value of outflow due to uncertainty attached with the actual outcome. Correct now? So a risk adjustment should be made for the amount that the entity would pay. For the amount that the entity would pay in excess of expected present value of output, sorry, in sorry in excess of expected present value of outflow due to uncertainty attached with the actual outflow. So actual outcome can be different from expected outcome. For that, some risk adjustment is required. So what they said, a risk adjustment can be accounted in number of ways, such as adjustment can be done by adding to the expected present value of future outflow. Adding to the expected present value of future outflow. Correct? Or by adjusting the estimate of future outflow. Or by adjusting the discount rate. Means any of these three ways can be made. Means what they said, either adjustment can be done to the expected value of future outflow, or it can be done to the by doing some adjustment in the estimate of future outflow, or by doing some adjustment in the discounting rate. Means in my example, just try to understand, this is the expected value, this is the estimate, and suppose the discount rate is 10%. So when we multiply with present value factor at a rate of 10%, for example for 3 years, correct now, because the warranty was given for 3 years, so this will be present value of expected outflow. Yes sir. So what they are saying, either you can do adjustment here by adjusting this, either adjustment can be done in the estimate of future outflow, or adjustment can be done in this amount by adding some amount here, adjustment can be done here, or discount rate can be adjusted, or discount rate can be adjusted. Means either you can adjust the estimate of future outflow, or you can adjust by adding some amount to the expected value of outflow, or you do some adjustment in the discount rate. So of course here to some plus will be done, here some plus will be done. But when you think about discount rate, so can I say for the risk and uncertainty, discount rate will decrease, because when discount rate will decrease, then only present value will increase. So in this case, can I say discount rate should be adjusted downward for the risk and uncertainties. This have you understood? Have you understood this point? Bolo. Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. We have understood. So what they have said, risk adjustment can be accounted for in number of ways, such as by adding it to the expected present value of future outflow, or by doing some adjustment to the estimate of future outflow, or by adjusting the discount rate. Whenever you do adjustment discount rate, so be careful, the discount rate will be decreased. For example, in exam they have given that adjustment should be done by 2%, and the given discount rate 10%. So it should be 10% minus 2%, not 10% plus 2%. Have you understood this point? Yes sir. Understood. So now we have understood measurement also. Any doubt? For today this much only. Will not take much point today. Have you understood or not? Because I need to take some question from question bank, that will take tomorrow. Have you understood this? Everyone. I am very much slow. I am not fast. Have you understood, everyone? Please, please revise whatever I have done today. Once you revise, so that whatever question we'll do tomorrow, that you will be able to understand. However, tomorrow I'll give a recap of what I have done. But then also, I have already said 1 hour revision is required for every day. I don't know whether you are doing revision or not, but that is must. Revision of 1 hour is required. Otherwise it will be accumulated. Correct? Understood? Yes, sir. So for today, this much only. Thank you very much. We'll meet tomorrow. Till then, bye bye. Take care. Enjoy your remaining day. Bye bye.